Wolf out.
Truck that like you, you're a front chunk. So with your plate, let that shit like top rope. With this bag, hundreds of demons. They're always there, up on the strings. Watch the world out there in the depths of dread. And the truth to be shared.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? From the heart of Lovecraft Country and the birthplace of American religious liberty, my name is Jonathan Jetty. You're watching Jonathan Jetty Art on this fine Sunday. Welcome to Comics and Curios inside the studio. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. We're going to talk about art. What's up, Eric Cuffles? I just saw you appear here. I got to say hello to the chat, guys. God, I have been working like crazy. I got a big painting boxed and mailed off a commission. The dragon painting, so I am anxiously awaiting its being received by the person who commissioned the painting. It's been something that's been a real joy to work on. I'm really proud of it, but it was amazing. It was just a cool experience all around, and I just hope he loves it to bits. Same thing as when I mail everything off. I mailed off a sketch from KEOWN'S, which is going to be tomorrow for those of you guys who are looking to own originals of mine and original sketches. We always auction artwork off that we do on KEOWN'S. So if you don't know that show, it's on Comic Artist, Pro Secrets, Ethan Van Sciver's channel every Monday, depending on, timing. It's usually around like 7 or 8 o'clock or something, depending on how everybody's schedule works out. And so very excited about that. And if you haven't heard the news yet, John Malin's show, KEOWN'S, is moving to Wednesday, so it's going to be a great midweek shot in the arm. But let's get you guys started. Let me say hello to everybody here. We have got Michelle Bowers in the chat. It's great to see you guys. Yeah, are all the names messed up again on my channel? I don't know how this stuff works, because it's like got numbers at the end of it. What is up, Jeremy Burt's Art? How are you doing, my friend? Everybody's saying hello. Eric Huffles is here. Look at these channel members. Jeremy Burt's, Eric Huffles. I'm grateful for you guys every time I put you guys into the credits. which I just did before the show. A Riley, isn't it? Sounds like something Oasis would say. You know, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Let me see here. You're with Oasis. You're with a band. Let's see. Oh, my stars and garters. We got Amoral Fat 40 ounce. How are you doing, Cobra? The Cobra is in the house. We welcome him. We've got NPC Oasis. Speaking of Oasis, that was not planned. That is really funny. It's good to see NPC Oasis. Cryptic Catalyst. How are you doing? It's great to see. Oh, yeah, the professor is hooking it up. You know I am. I'm ready to rock and roll. And so let's see what we've got here. Everybody saying hello. The names are correct on Ethan's. I don't know why. Yeah, I think it's something that they're running. My mom lives around the corner from Noel and Liam's mom, literally. I am not surprised at all. So we send our best to Miss Peggy Gallagher. For those of you guys who don't know your Oasis lore. For those of you guys who don't know this about me, I probably have mentioned it on other streams. It used to be a part of my opening song, but Oasis are my band. So they've been my band since... gosh, give or take, like 94, 95. I think 95, just to be safe. And ever since. So every B-side, it's the soundtrack of me and my wife meeting each other and getting together and all that stuff. My kids know all the music, and so I would drive them and drop them off at preschool to Oasis. So that was always a big part of our lives. So listen, guys, listen. We're going to be talking about some very cool stuff today. Here is the purpose of this show. Whenever you catch it, if you catch it now, if you catch it later, however you have this experience, and if you're live and you're part of the conversation we have here, I mean, I never know where it's going to go. I'm going to grab books, but I have some thoughts. And one of the things for me about this show is I think that it's really important to surround yourself with art and enthusiasm and books. And I found that the classics and then the rediscovering artwork that has informed our culture, that's just really great stuff, has done so many good things for me, too many to count, and have kind of kept me, on a pretty even keel for most of my life whenever I dig into that stuff. And while I make artwork and, during the week I'm always working on tons and tons of different things, a big part of that requires me to make sure that I'm taking in, eating a lot of artwork and eating a lot of books, because that's what keeps you inspired. And I can't overstate that I think that there's a real need for this. Like, I watch YouTube channels all the time, like Townsend's, where they give you history and they talk about how things are made. There's even this channel, and I forget the guy's name, but it's a particular region in the Ukraine, bushcraft. And he takes, like, hollows out trees that are dead and builds little ovens off of them. This guy's incredible. He just makes tons and tons of different things out in the woods, little shelters and things, all using his skills, that he has of just doing anything you could possibly imagine out in the woods. It's incredible. He built an oven out of, basically an adobe oven out of mud and straw, that was coming out of, with a chimney coming out of this tree that he hollowed out, and then cooked himself a dinner. It's incredible. What is up? Let's see here. Is it, it says Bouche Chris. Is this Chris Bouchard? Is that who it is? Because the names are all messed up here. I don't know what's going on. But it's good to see you, my brother. I hope you're doing well. So yeah, I want to talk about a couple of things today, because speaking of art books, let's move this in to position, folks. Let's move this into position, and then I'm going to get my camera right with God here and see if we can get that sorted out. If you're not from the South, you might not understand that expression. But here we go. So for those of you guys who don't know, I'm a big fan of Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. I'm a super big fan of the Max Fleischer Superman animations. I think those things are just brilliant. I love them. They're actually a big influence on the origins of Springball. If I were to say what were the things that really influenced me making Springball back in 1994, I think. Funny enough, timed with Oasis. I think it was me looking at the Marvel Masterworks Steve Ditko Spider-Man stuff, and just thinking, why aren't comics fun like this? Fun with the type, fun with that sense of play. And then also the Max Fleischer Superman animations, where I thought, mechanical monsters, these are so awesome. The Arctic Giant, I want to see superheroes fight dinosaurs, something of that scale, and tie them up with suspension bridges. That's as crazy as that may sound, considering the fact that it's Springball Spider-Man meets Evil Dead. There's this very beautiful place, artistically, creatively, that's this kind of certain type of futurism, Art Deco that I just love, and is one of the reasons why, even though I haven't played it, and I don't have an art book on it, which I should probably get at some point, I've really enjoyed watching playthroughs of BioShock and that beautiful underwater world. In fact, I would not be surprised, because the timing, no, the timing of BioShock, and when BioShock was in development, and it was looking very much like System Shock, the first game they did. I have this book. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Of course you do. The Alpha, the Omega. The first channel member, Mr. Stephen Rockwood, is in the house. Everybody pay your respects to the man. He is here. Springball's coming along great. And it's coming along great. I'm so excited about it. I had a really... I don't want to put him on the spot and put him out there, but I had somebody in Comicsgate that you guys know who was just, offered to be a set of eyes on where it was and the development of it. And really, you meet a lot of people who give you canned advice. This person is the opposite of giving out canned advice, is the best way I could put it. He's got a very keen insight, and I don't know if I can ever convey to people how, what's the word I'm looking for? How much the canned advice culture that I spent a lot of time around in art school has sort of made me a little bit jaded on people with advice, because it's very much an advice culture. But this gentleman has an incredible eye, and he's very insightful, and the things he says makes sense, and it's great. Yeah, I need to watch Sky Captain again. It'll just put you in a good mood. Sergeant Politeness, how are you doing? I salute you, sir. Seeker of the Moon Sunday, Sean Stream, sweet, I am here for you. And of course, channel member, celebrating 6 months, Nomad Damon. My God, has it been 6 months already? This is awesome. You are a man of great taste, sir. Thank you, Nomad Damon. As are you, my friend. I have got the new reduced volume cheerleaders here to celebrate you, and here we go, guys.
Charge! Charge!
There you go. People really appreciated me lowering the volume on the cheerleaders, because it was pretty bad. Yes, indeed. Cheers. I liked it. Yeah, it's fun stuff. And whoa, Nomad Damon gifting memberships too. My God. Michelle Bowers receives a membership from Nomad Damon. Hey, Ron, you done it again. Nomad Damon. And here we are. We gotta do cheerleaders again. Sorry, it's the way it goes.
Charge! Charge!
So here's something I want to make sure I say before we even get into Sky Captain. Thank you, Nomad Damon. You're a gentleman and a scholar. So I know a lot of people in the industry. I've been working in the industry for a long, long time, and gotten to know a ton of people. Of course, I worked at a fairly elite institution during one of the great heydays of its time, but more importantly, just my career working in illustration and doing that kind of stuff. And so I actually taught character design to the student who did the concept design, costume design for Elizabeth, I think her name was, in BioShock Infinite. But also, in addition to that, I had been talking for a while off and on. I actually haven't checked in with him in a bit, with Kevin Conrad, brother of course, the director. Kevin Conrad, sorry, not Conrad, different person. Kevin Conrad, brother of the director of Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. And we got to know each other a bit, and he's backed my art books in the past, and I reached out to him, and he actually had a pitch that was going around Hollywood, a pitch for an animated movie he wanted to do, and he had me look it over. and give him my thoughts on it and give him some notes, because it's hard to find people to read scripts. So there's so many things that go on, in the industry that people kind of miss out on that are great, meeting good people. And he was just fantastic, And so, when I saw BioShock, I remember thinking this needs to be a movie, but I don't really even play video games. I just would rather draw. When I see visuals and things like that, sometimes I just want to go draw, and I'd rather listen to a book. But I thought it was beautiful. And I think that what happened was, man, I'm verklempt today. I think what happened was that I really do think that while they were in development on BioShock, Sky Captain came out, somebody saw it and said, that is such a cool look, we should do something with it. I don't know if that's true. I have no evidence to prove that, but that would be my guess. And so one of the great things that happened recently, they say if you live long enough, they'll make a book out of everything you love. Mirror's Edge is another one with a fairly unique environment. Very cool, Simply Green, and it's great to see you here, man. I love the start of the first BioShock. Amen. The water looked great for its time, and then the Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Yeah, lots of great stuff in that. Lots of great stuff in that game. So they finally, long overdue. I don't know what year this came out. Let me see if I can see it on here. Where is it? Let's check. Shall we? I see the kids' names in the book. That's terrific. All right, fine. I'm not going to worry about it because I can't find it, and I want to get started here showing you guys this awesome, awesome book. So this is the book for Sky Captain. Let's see if I can arrange that arm a little bit better. There we go. This is the art book for Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. It is chock-a-block filled. What's up? How are you doing? Sugondes. From Japan. It is great to see you, Sugondes. Welcome. Yes, indeed. Yes, to the indicia. Indeed, indeed. So this is a collection of all the artwork, and he did all of the artwork in traditional. He did digital stuff as well for Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. And it's such a testament to Kevin's incredible creativity. He's a terrific guy, I would be happy to say. And of course it says for Kiara, Cooper, Jake, and Abby. And so beautifully. So let's take a moment to appreciate that. Gotta always appreciate the family. And then this is an illustration he did for the poster. They didn't use this poster for it, but man, I think this is a great poster. Indeed, indeed. Has to be done. You have to celebrate the Japanese when they're in the chat. BioShock is great. Mirror's Edge is great. Okay, I've got Nomad Damon seconding that recommendation. So here you go. And this book is just beautiful. Now, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Dave Stevens, the Rocketeer. My son, who is actually studying at an aeronautical engineering school right now, was always interested in planes and vehicles, and I miss him so much, I can't even tell you. But is was always interested in airplanes and things like that, and so I was fed that by watching, Wright Brothers documentaries and on the anniversary of their first flight at Kitty Hawk. And I would show him things like Sky Captain, and the Rocketeer's opening sequence was one of the first things we ever watched of the GB takeoff, which is one of the best soundtracks of all time. Hail Krabby Patty, says Jeremy Burtzart. Look at that. Everybody's in the house. It's good to see you guys on this fine Sunday. Make sure you hit that like if you have not yet. It does help us. So this was the first teaser image that they ever did, and Kevin talks about this on the Blu-ray, but this was the image they did when they were trying to pitch the film. So imagine, having a brother who's an artist, another brother who's a director who understands special effects and how to actually make these things animate and move. What a incredible Michigan born duo these guys are. And so this is the look at the early life. Some of you guys may recognize this stuff. There's Larry Buster Crabbe, an influence of mine. And of course, the Lone Ranger, and I believe that character in that radio show, if I'm not mistaken, originated in Detroit. And there is Flint, Michigan, which was a part of the script he had me look over, was a nod to Flint. Hail Shanth in chat. Oh my gosh, where to go? How be ye this fine morning? I am very well, Art Haida. How are you? I hope you're well. The Art and Times of Jay Ryan. It's great to see you. Hello, Shanth in chat. Hello to you, Art and Times. And of course, Bassmaster Dan dropping links like Oscar Mayer. Pastmaster Dan says, back Sean Springball. Do get out there and back it, guys. Let's get that campaign moving. It's going to be a beautiful book, and I can't tell you how excited I am. I'll show you some cool stuff before we're done today. That's a promise. So that's the stuff that inspires you. There's the two brothers. I love that. Absolutely love that. And of course, that love of all things. Beyond a day job. You gotta love it, man. And isn't everything, somewhat beyond a day job in this space? I mean, you guys are allowing us with your support to create and build things and make things beautiful. And I have never been more passionate and defiant on behalf of the comic book art form and American art in general. So here you go. Notes. You get to see it all in this book. Look at these beautiful pencil drawings and pencil sketches. How good are these? Just designing every little thing in this. Dreaming of tomorrow. Early sketches. Isn't this stuff great? Jennings' lab. There you have the little elephants and things, which is very Bride of Frankenstein. It's just a gorgeous movie to watch. Influenced, of course, by the 33 King Kong, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm sure I'm not alone in that when it comes to, our space here and all of you guys. I'm sure there's lots of love for the original King Kong, but that was a huge influence, as well as the serials. One of the things I would love to see them do with this film, the original idea was to release it as short serials, and you can see when you watch the movie there are these really nice chapter breaks in it. Maybe somebody's going to do this online, but I would love to see somebody take that film in black and white and break it up into short serial clips. It would be so great. I'm not playing Bobby Darin now in the background. You are. Hey, listen, if you've got to play Bobby Darin and it fits the mood, play some Bobby Darin. Nothing's going to go wrong with that. Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me, my lover stands on golden sands. How does that song... I don't know if I got the lyrics right. Anyway, Monster Island. Look at these sketches. Beautiful. And again, the Flying Fortress and the early sketches of this. Yeah, bring back the serials. Yeah, I have the Phantom serials with Tom Tyler. Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe, which has that opening scroll that was a big inspiration for Star Wars. Love that stuff. Larry Buster Crabbe is the man. And so you see these early sketches of the manta ray and where Kevin was trying to put this stuff together. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous stuff. Cityscapes. You got to know how to really draw when you're doing this stuff. And there was a particular architect. I feel like his name was like Hugh Ferris, but I could be wrong. He did a lot of Art Deco inspirational drawings for cityscapes in New York and influenced a lot of the architecture and things like that. But I could be wrong on that. But it's one of my favorite. For some reason, suddenly I want to watch Finding Nemo. There you go. I love the Phantom serials. Flash Gordon is on my list. It's great. It won't let you down. It won't let you down. So here's what I love. So for them to pitch this story to people, one of the things that they would do when they were doing Sky Captain was they had a video cassette of their short back in the days of video cassettes. I'm more of a Frankenberry, Booberry serial kind of guy. Well, don't worry. I've got you covered here. They've got, that's my favorite serial too. So they had a little metal box with rivets, a comic book with concept art and sketches in it, and then the short. And that's all it took to sell the project. Well, they finally got it in front of the right eyes. But look at this. Here's Ray Harryhausen, the man himself, the stop-motion genius, visiting their studio, their outfit. There they are making the blue screen and green screen rooms there with the nice taper on the floor so that you didn't get any shadow. How cool is that? And then look at these illustrations. At the request of Paramount marketing team, I painted Jude and Gwyneth in order to paste them over the anonymous characters on my original poster. That's got to blow your mind right there. Just terrific to be painting these Hollywood actors to put over the original poster illustration. And he also did costume designs, all sorts of stuff. Look at that. Look at the dog. Isn't that great? ray guns. Oh, man, we need more ray guns, don't we? We need more ray guns out there. River of Blood by Peter Gilmore, guys. Check it out right there. There's the link. Peter Gilmore and Patrick Quinlan on fundmycomic.com. Check it out, guys. It almost came from Tesco. Finding the right ray gun. And here's the designs. Dex's widget. Look at the costuming. So good. So good. Just gotta love this stuff. And of course, Commander Frankie Cook. And look at that jetpack and the bubble helmet. Let's get a little closer in on that. See if I can make that a little bit easier for you guys to see. Isn't that fantastic? There we go. We'll make it more vertical. What a great looking thing. I swear this looks like the universe of the Fallout games. I wouldn't be surprised. Seeker of the Moon, Shantha is going to make me go broke from buying art books. Listen, hey, that's... I would apologize, but it is, if you're going to go broke from something, books is never a bad way to do it. It will make moving something you never want to do, because it's a nightmare to move books, but I can't think of something that's going to enrich your soul and your spirit more than surrounding yourself with beautiful books. That's why I try to make books, my books, as beautiful as possible. If you guys haven't backed Springball yet, make sure you do. It's going to be another beautiful book. If you miss Nosfero, just keep an eye out for it out there. If someone's got extra copies, they may be selling them on eBay and things like that, because that campaign is closed and going to print. So that's where we are with that. So here we go. This is a beautiful illustration. The color theory on this is fantastic. Look at that great illustration right there. Just incredible. The man can draw and paint. And then here, of course, is the costume design. For the Flying Fortress, the crest, and, of course, the beautiful Angelina Jolie. And there we go, Dr. Totenkopf, with some sketches of what he was going to look like when they were trying to figure him out. There's the group collection of scientists working for Totenkopf. Men Without Souls. Look, this is just some cool stuff, guys. Come on, isn't this great? I love the little fin on the hat there. You know, it's so good. A little bit of Bruce Timm style in there. And then, of course, the mechanical face underneath of the mysterious woman. How good is this stuff? Lone Wolf in the house, what's up? Making me want to get back into the Rocketeer. Listen, it's always a good time to get back into the Rocketeer. That let's talk about the Rocketeer. That comic, when I first discovered it in college, was the collection of it. One of the most beautiful comics ever drawn. Dave Stevens is one of my heroes. He changed my artwork when I discovered his stuff when I was 18 years old. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I've illustrated in a Dave Stevens-y style. Done all sorts of stuff like that. Love that stuff. Then you've got the movie, which came out in 1991, that has one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. One of the greatest soundtracks of all time. It's up there with Last of the Mohicans, any of those other soundtracks. Love the Rocketeer. And in fact, that's why I have the Rocketeer poster, movie poster by Dave Stevens behind me in that corner. Dave is definitely, welcome here and honored here in this room. Let's see here, Dr. Turner, Turnhead and Golf. That's right. That took me a minute, Nomad Damon. I can't read as well as I used to, or at all. Okay, that's definitely Fallout Universe. There you go. Making me want to get back into Rocketeer. Absolutely. Today is the first day of the rest of your Rocketeer life. Indeed. And guys, skills pay bills. Look at the ability here. That's what it's about. Can you draw? Can you paint? It's do you have that understanding? Look, this is something that really got me. Jacob's staff, and then you have this design pattern that he came up with for it. Take a look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This is the kind of ornate, detailed stuff that you do when you're working on a job like this. You have to understand everything. I used to tell students who were interested in doing video game concept art, for the love of God, thank you, Lone Wolf. Much appreciated, my friend. Much appreciated. one of the things for me when I was teaching concept art classes at RISD back in the day, I used to tell people, I'd go, you see a lot more backgrounds in video games than you see characters. So learn about architecture. If you can't name me 3 or 4 architects that you're a fan of, then you're probably going to have some problems when you're drawing. Same thing goes with industrial designers. Same thing goes with, like I used to tell my students, if you can name me 3 architects and 2 industrial designers, I think I may have even said 1 industrial designer, I'll be impressed. You get an A for the day. Nobody could ever come up with an industrial designer's name who wasn't also doing other things. You know, was famous for other things. Like a true, according to Hoyle, industrial designer. So here you go. Costume fittings. All a part of that, making the artwork. And, oh, is this a nod to Hugh Ferris? Let me see if this is who he's talking about. Norman Bell Geddes. Like Buckminster Fuller and Norman Bell Geddes were big influences on this. So knowing those names. Oh, man, maybe I should show you guys. Hugh Ferris. There he is. It was Hugh Ferris. So right there. These are names to jot down and have around you if you want to look stuff up, man. But this right here, look at this beautiful illustration here. Very Hugh Ferris. Gorgeous. And these storyboards. Look at this stuff, man. This is fantastic. Beautiful. Understanding how things work. Very, very important. Very, very important. Oh, I'm gonna blow my nose. Sorry, guys. This is annoying. There we go. I gotta figure out a better way. I may have to make this more flat for it to work like that. I'm gonna put on a quick trailer real quick. Okay, we're back. We don't have to watch the whole Spring Ball trailer. And happy pre-Thanksgiving to you, Aviator Surge. Speaking of aviation, my friend, you're going to like this. We're talking about Sky Captain and Rocketeer today. So yeah, being able to draw, being able to compose is not something that you may be born with some artistic ability, but you have to really study and understand composition. And it helps you to cultivate what you know about things. And so I love this stuff. What's up, Graveyard Grifter? How are you doing? It is good to see you, my friend. And yes, a happy pre-Thanksgiving to everybody. One of my favorite holidays. Welcome, infamous Mr. Kurtz. How are you doing? It's good to see you, sir. Channel member, gentleman, and scholar. So yeah, check this out, guys. So Editor Paley's office. Beautiful stuff. Oh, really great. Really great work on interior design. Now, I'm a massive fan of this old-style robot design. It's just so great. Any robot from that era, of course, the Mechanical Monsters were an influence for this. But look at how gorgeous all of this stuff is that Kevin did. What a legend. Yeah, pick up that pencil, Eric Huffles. You know it's true. It has to be done. You have to put in, it's not so much the 10,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell's book was a misstating of another person, Anders Ericsson's research. It's this thing called deliberate practice, where you have a fixed goal, like learn how to draw airplanes or learn how to draw this particular thing. And then you also have someone who's reviewing your work, which is important, right? That, like, in terms of, here's how you can improve, here's how you can do this. But it really is, it's not just about putting in the time, it's how you're putting in the time. That's a big factor of it. And you're right, spending that time doing these kinds of things. When people go, how do you illustrate comics and make your artwork with a trackpad? And the answer is really simple. It's, I know how to paint, and I've built up that hand control. It's so true. Yeah, it is stylistic, though. Yeah, absolutely is. I'm in two minds. I like structural integrity, but some designs just break it. Blade Runner's architecture is not, nonsensical. Absolutely right. But it is the aesthetic. It is referencing, in many ways, the beautiful design and architecture from Metropolis. And I think that's what makes it work so well, is that it's the same thing that you see in European comics and comic books by Mobius. All artists who knew their craft incredibly well and worked on a lot of these productions. So you got to look at the people who are just great iconic artists. And every artist who's worth their salt could tell you all of these people that influenced them. There we go. That's a little bit better of a view there. Look at this stuff. Oh, today I discovered, very cool. a local aviation park where they fly model aircraft. 'Twas cool watching them fly the air thrust jets. That's awesome. My son and I, Aviator Search, used to watch videos of some of those giant scale GB model airplanes people would fly. Other stuff as well. Because I'm a huge fan of the Granville Brothers planes. We've actually went up to Springfield where they have a museum that has Indian motorcycles, everything that came out of Springfield, Mass, and GB aircraft and the history of that. So I've always been fascinated by that stuff. And it's just so great, man. I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, so here's the aircraft. Here's a lot of the drawing stuff that's going on in this book. That's a really great nod to Norman Bell Geddes and the kind of cars he drew and illustrated. Norman Bell Geddes is a giant. Maybe I'll grab the Norman Bell Geddes book off the shelf to show you guys in a little bit. Just let me know when we get to a certain point if that's something you want to look at. Just terrific stuff, guys. Look at this. Just fill your brain with art and with really great classic literature. Look at this. The Frank Lloyd Wright inspired buildings here. Beautiful stuff. I'm a big fan of Frank Lloyd Wright. Look at these environments, these sets. This book is not expensive, if I'm not mistaken. The chopping block, that's so creepy. Very Frankenstein. The frozen mine. Would they be miners? Miners, not miners. If you know, you know. I recently saw a video of a 6-foot-long jet-powered model of an F-14. Are you kidding? Oh, that would be awesome. A Tomcat. See, of course, because of G.I. Joe, I was obsessed with F-14s. So I was just... that was my plane. And actually, I wonder if I can find this. Hang on a second, guys. I want to grab something. Aviator Surge, you might enjoy this. Hang on. If you hear a crashing sound, it's just me. Let's see. Where do I have that? I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Talk amongst yourselves. No. Is it there? Oh. Whew. That wasn't as hard as it could have been. And then let me see if I can grab the Norman Bell Geddes book. There we go. I don't know if we'll look at it, but we'll have it if we want to. Woo! All right, there we go. Heavens to Betsy's. Yeah, by Grapthar's hammer. You guys have got it. By Grapthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvanna, you shall be avenged. There you go. One of my favorite documentaries. I ordered it from Australia because they didn't have it here in the States or anywhere in Europe. 4 Years of Thunder. It's a documentary series they did on the history of World War I aviation. Love this 3-disc set. Watched it with my son. So cool. So if you've never seen it and you're interested in World War I aviation, check this out. Great stuff. That's how much stuff. Like, this is a small space, but everything in here is precious. You know, everything in here is just inspiring to me. You know, just like all of you fine folks on this Sunday. Robotech and Macross really solidified my love of aircraft. Yeah, that'll do it. And what is up? Oh, gosh, let me see if I can pronounce this. Ben, is it Ben Tillotson? I probably butchered that. I'm so sorry. Old school biplanes are wonderful. Yes. Peter Jackson has a place he sponsors down in New Zealand that builds World War I aircraft like to spec and gets them spot on. And I just think the Albatross is a beautiful bit of carpentry, I guess we would say, and engineering. It's just such a thing of beauty. So yes, indeed, Aviator Surge. Yeah. Oh, I got it. Thank God. It's doing my best. Yes, Blame. Big inspiration. That's right. That's right. So yeah, look at this stuff. Just incredible. Look at this tech. The robot arm being manufactured. just beautiful, beautiful. Like, just a page like this. I want to see more of this kind of studying going on in young artists. I studied compositions and value studies like this like crazy. When I was teaching Eric painting, he's like moving right now, so he's in the middle of it. But whenever I do a class with Eric, it's always within a rectangle. Like, here's the composition, and it's always studies of value, foreground, middle ground. All that stuff is so important. Robots. Let's talk about the guard robots here. Incredibly fun. A movie that's absolutely worth looking at. All of the little things, including, it looks like the Hammer of Thor, that you're going to find inside of his collection. The Cyclops, the Harryhausen collection, Excalibur, Thor's hammer. I mean, you got to love it, man. All those little nods have to be in there. It reminds me of Metropolis sets. Yeah, this stuff, Metropolis has got to be one of the most influential it is one of the most influential films of all time. But it's also the way that we've unearthed more of it. We've been trying to find it. Like, it's a lost film in its complete version. And the way we keep finding bits and pieces of it is a part of the story in and of itself. It's incredible. And yeah, I love Metropolis. It's inspired my work. I forget the name of the concept designer of Metropolis. Shoot. I know his name, too. Hang on a second. Let me see here. I'll have to look that up. I had my students in my cinematic storytelling class and in my illustration 1 classes do master studies of the concept art from Metropolis. So the little gouache illustrations of all the buildings that influence Blade Runner and everything else, Star Wars. Look at this beautiful illustration right there. Queen Bee. Interesting. Look at that. Oh, wow. That's a trip. And look at that beautiful bit of science fiction aviation right there, guys. The Manta. The underwater airplane. It wasn't Fritz Lang, although Fritz Lang was incredible, but it was, I know the guy's name. It's going to drive me crazy. I'm going to try not to be driven crazy by not knowing an artist's name. That'd be a sad way to go mad, don't you think? There's the Queen Bee logos. And look at this, man. The Flying Legion, a nearly correct Flying Legion logo. Look at how badass that is. And the clouds are very much like the Columbia Pictures clouds. If you guys know those well, that's just so great. Like, there's so many nods to cinema history in this, you know? Yeah, the Blade Runner concept art is gorgeous by the great Sid Mead. Sid Mead also did some development work. You can actually get a book from Amazon.jp. I don't own it anymore. I don't know where it went. It was a small book, but it's the Sid Mead Art of Gundam. And you can find it on Amazon if you know what you're looking for. So Sid Mead did a bunch of Gundam concept artwork because he was Sid Mead, God rest him. But yeah, this right here is 100% influenced by Norman Bell Getty's model for a uncreated ocean liner. And I went and got to see the model when it was on tour. They did a gallery exhibition of ocean liners, and they had Norman Bell Getty's ocean liner for there. And it was incredible to see the model in person. And because this is the kind of party, now get a really good look at this, okay? The Flying Fortress. It's particularly the back. The glass right there. Get a really good look at that, okay? All right. Now let me grab this book. Norman Bell Getty's, right here. Designs America is the name of this book. Norman Bell Getty's created one of the first amusement... I gotta show this stuff to you. Hang on. Norman Bell Getty's created one of the first ride systems for like a theme park ride to show his idea for what future cities would look like. So here are people on this conveyor belt going through the GM, I think, sponsored theater ride that showed you what he thought, envisioned the future of cities being like. This practically looks like Dallas, you know? It's crazy. What's up, Jay Thomas? How are you doing? And Enrique Cabrera, how are you doing? I want to personally congratulate you on getting that audio lock. Audio on lock. Oh, you're welcome. I will now try to catch your streams more often. Blame YouTube if I miss any. I will absolutely do that, and I'm glad it helps. Yeah, all very different designs for Turn a Gundam. Fantastic steampunk takes. Yes, indeed. Let me see here. Just found the live stream on the road trip. Excellent. Just going to sit back and learn something. Oh, I'm so glad, and enjoy, and drive safe. Basically like the Jurassic Park ride. Yes. So now we're going to talk about, do you know what, anybody know in the house what Norman Bell Geddes named the name of this ride was that people were on? You're going to be blown away when you see how much, how much of an influence he had on culture. I'll see if anybody in the chat can guess it. What the name of the ride was. Sorry about that, guys. This is a big book. Okay, it's trying to focus on the silver and it can't. It needs something to focus on. Monorail, you're close. The People Later, kind of close. But it's something, and just bear in mind he was a futurist, is his big claim to fame. The People Coaster. Look at his concept art and drawings. This was a circus tent concept he did for Barnum and Bailey. That's how good this dude was. He did everything. Norman Geddes. These are his gouache and color studies for theater performances he did, in addition to architecture, industrial design. He did everything. He did window design for department stores and reinvented that stuff. These are some of his books. More circus poster and circus design stuff. Department store design. The Valkyrie, people are asking. Look at him sketching at his desk. Sketch big or go home. Is it the name we use today, monorail? Nope. Circus sketches. Opera and theater sketches. Look at these sets and designs. Just beautiful. Gouache and color sketches designing resorts. These people could draw and paint. What do you mean, these people? You know how it is. Artists, what are you going to do? See, that was really intriguing design. Triangles and triangles lighting opening in the vent. Yes. Yes, it is. For those of you guys who are Hitchcock fans, Norman Bell Geddes' daughter is in Vertigo. She is Midge, the illustrator who is friends with Scott Ferguson in Vertigo. Her name is Barbara Bell Geddes, the actress. So Barbara Bell Geddes, Midge, and Midge was the first name of the girl, Springball's gal who hangs around with him. You guys are close. Motorway, you're fine, but it's a word that you'll go, oh my god, are you serious? Practical vision and business design. Look at these beautiful coin designs. Look at this idea he had for an airship. This is not the thing that... A Peep into the Future by the spectacular Norman Bell Geddes. So this is all stuff for the General Motors 5th anniversary medal. And the 5th anniversary of General Motors. Can you imagine? Streamlining by Norman Bell Geddes. But soon we're going to get to the World's Fair design. That is what a drafting office should look like. Beautiful stuff. There's the IBM typewriter he designed. God almighty, look at all of this stuff. End notes for that section only. Department store design. More department store. Let me move this over. More department store design. Western Union jewelry design by Norman Bell Geddes. Autobahn, you're close. This is the kind of thing that he designed for department stores. So whenever you see department stores from this time period that are old department stores, this is why they look the way they do. From the fonts to the window displays, he was thinking outside the box, inside the box. He was making everything awesome. Look at this stuff. The new ceiling vending machines and things like this of the future. Incredibly cool. Here we go. On the Road to the Future is the next section. Brace yourselves. You're about to get the spoiler alert. The transportator? I don't know. Here is the Norman Bell Geddes ocean liner design. And wait till you see the final model for it. That is 100% what Kevin Conran, he wasn't trying to hide it. He was going, this is Norman Bell Geddes. This guy's a genius. Look at that ocean liner and how incredibly cool the design is. And funny enough, this went on to inspire modern, the Titan, people are saying. Farfignugen. Why did YouTube hide that? Are we not allowed to say the word Germans now? I wouldn't be surprised. You know how it goes. I can't see it because I'm in Ecamm. Car design ideas. All this stuff is stuff that, you know, you can see. Oh, whoops, this is a little crooked here. Hang on. There we go. All of this stuff is stuff you can see in Sky Captain, lovingly homaged by the great Kevin Conran. Here's an idea for an airport that's right there out in the harbor, which Kansai Airport pretty much did that, of New York. Here's the idea for his the flying wing, water landing airship idea he had. Helicopter design he had for tourists. Gas station design he had. I know there are some gas stations that did this, but how beautiful is this kind of stuff? Just gorgeous, man. Just gorgeous. I love this type of stuff. Would that boat work today, or is it too outdated? It would. You could absolutely make a boat like that today. Someone probably will. But it's because it really is just the way the streamlined design goes. I'm on a boat. I say that every time I see a boat. You gotta. It has to be said. And welcome. It's good to see you, Corey Landis, channel member. Let's find out. Germans. Looks like it works. So it wasn't it. Flying car designs. Remember those talks? We need flying cars. Norman was on it. A few years ahead, defining modernism with popular appeal. So as I often say, when you start looking at some of the building designs he had, yes, here's the General Motors attraction he built. This is your last chance to guess what it could possibly be. There it is, right there. Isn't that gorgeous? This is the General Motors building he designed for the World's Fair. And it had this giant auditorium in it for people to travel in. This is how you get good. This is how you get excited about hand lettering. This is how you get excited about all this stuff. Bruce Campbell's Chin, what's up? We're going to need a bigger boat. Or a buy it. Yes, that's right. Let me see here. Pans, look at this. Diners. So great. Airports. Check this out. Dulles International Airport. This is Frank Gehry's Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles that people say was inspired by Norman Bell Geddes. My good friend Al is actually Frank Gehry's son. Which was, I did not know. I just thought he was a fellow Star Wars fan. I had no idea. So here you go. The future is here. Norman Bell Geddes and the Theater of the Future. Are you guys ready? Here's more of his store designs. Here he is designing what the cityscape will be in that moving theater we told you about. Visions of the future city that came very, very true. What's up, Hong Kong Fooey? How are you doing? It is great to see you. And then here is the stuff people on the ride are going to see when they go on the ride. It's going to show what cities look like. Let me raise this up just a little bit. Incredible stuff. Theater productions. I mean, there's so much in here. I mean, I could quote, big book. Could do this stuff all day. Theater, let me see what I have here. Theater productions. Drink it in, guys. These are just fantastic sets. Costume designs by the great Norman Bell Geddes. He was thinking in terms of modular stuff, building stuff, sculpting stuff out in plaster, furniture design. Norman Bell Geddes is a genius. Domestic media designs. One of my favorite designs is the radio inspired by the American flag. I love this thing. If you had one, I mean, they still make these. I think someone has the rights to make these radios. But if you had an original one of these, you would be rich. They are very desirable items. Desk designs, workspace designs. Just, he was doing everything the Electrolux. You see this kind of stuff in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I want to know more about the ride. Oh, we're getting there. Ideas for transportation. Look at these incredible clay sculptures they would do back in the day. And let's see here. Housing. Let me get to the ride here because I want to make sure. Oh, there it is. There it is. Let's see here. Here you go, guys. If you didn't guess it, whatever it is, Disney probably stole it. No, it's, you've seen it everywhere. Here's what it was called. The Futurama. So if you find yourself wondering where the word Futurama comes from, it comes from Norman Bell Geddes and his design for the theater experience you were going to have when you went and learned about what the future was going to look like as envisioned by Norman Bell Geddes. The Futurama. How cool is that? And there's the design of the entrance and the walkways and the model for the Futurama. How cool is that? Oh, you said that right after Expressway. Excellent. I must have missed it. Enrique, you get points for that. And the record shows it in the chat. So, the Futurama. And there are people... Can you imagine how amazing this must have been? Going through the Futurama. So, just in the chat, I'm going to cover it up. When do you guys think this ride system and this happening, what year do you think this was? That they're on this ride system that we know and love today. What year? I want to see if anybody in the chat can ballpark what year this is happening in. If you can't already read it somewhere in the book. I saw it, Justice for Enrique. That's right. Oh, after you Googled it. Like, I love the honesty in the chat. I Googled it. 1934. That's close, actually. What do you got, Cat? 1939. That's right. 1939. What's up, a man called Plush? 1959. Very close. So listen, guys. 1939. This is what innovation looks like. This is what we're supposed to always be pushing for. Is not talking about just the design stuff. I mean, people imagining things. Like when I think about creating comics and creating characters, I go, the people who created Spider-Man or created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or created Rocketeer and all that stuff, they were skilled craftsmen and they were brilliant and they they probably had no idea, as Dave Stevens and the creators of the Ninja Turtles can tell you, they had no idea that it was going to be this thing when they were creating it. But they took the work of having imagining things seriously. They buckled down and they drew the damn stuff out. That's what I'm doing with Springball. That's what I'm doing with Nosfero. And that's how we're going to make things really interesting. Because you guys can fund it and we can get around all of the rules and all of the walls of, industry and editorial gatekeepers who are worried about these things coming out without their say-so. And that's what I love about it. What's up, Maromi? How are you doing, brother? Good to see you. Bruce Campbell's chin, did us getting into World War II stopped all of this from being our real future? No, because it was happening in the 50s and the 60s. It absolutely, that was not the case. What stopped us was probably all of the things we got up to post. I mean, it started a little bit in the 30s, but I would say it was probably post that, right? It was, and here's another thing. You got this when you got off the Futurama? You got a pin that said, I have seen the future. How many times have you guys seen that used? That expression, I have seen the future. 1939, Norman Bell Geddes. And again, this pretty much looks like an aerial view of Dallas, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, in terms of the layout. Look at that. At a glance, it looks like the Cinerama came out in the 1950s, far after the Futurama. There you have it. I miss old minds. Modern architecture is lacking creativity. I agree. So from all of us here at Stark Industries, which was influenced by Norman Bell Geddes, by the way, so many nods. So for those of you guys who saw Captain America, the First Avenger, there were so many nods to Norman Bell Geddes when people talk about this stuff, but his name is lost. Art is about, is not about the collective. Art is oftentimes, it's the collective that supports it, that embraces the dream. But, art is about individuals, and Norman Bell Getty's name should be known. That's why I spent time learning the names of the concept designers for Metropolis, which somehow I forgot. Talking about people like Jack Kirby, Osamu Tezuka, Winsor McKay, Hergé, Georges Remy. Like, you gotta know these names. Because they contribute things, and you need to have their books. You know, you need to have their books. I mean, the books I'm most proud of that I've done are Art Books 1 and 2, Nosfero, the Crypt Walker, and of course the Art Edition and the Second Chance Oxidized Edition that are coming out. And of course the original issues of SPRINGBALL in its first incarnation, and SPRINGBALL that's coming out. That's why I tell you guys, grab this stuff while it's the start. That's what makes it so fun. I'm all the stuff you see me into. When you guys get my books, it's like a little microcosm of our conversations and the stuff that I talk about and the stuff I'm passionate about, and me showing it to you in a way that is hopefully, again, always cohesive and inspiring and mailed literally from my house to yours. That's what makes it great. Yep, Rutger Hauer. I have seen the future when talking about Blade Runner. Yes. And you know what's interesting is that, which was a nod to this, the Rutger Hauer was in a movie called Split Second, and its tagline was, he's seen the future and he has to kill it, but first he's going to need bigger guns. I just love that. That city design would work lowering the road system. Yeah, I'm telling you, take a look at modern Dallas. It looks exactly like what modern Dallas's layout is. It's crazy. And then look at these models. There's Norman. These are all of his topographical model designs and things like that that'll be pieced together in the Futurama. And there, of course, is an illustration, the Futurama portfolio. Look at the people going in. What a gorgeous design this is. Isn't that beautiful? Otto Hunt, and it's Heinrich Kettelhut. That's the person whose artwork I have. Eric Kettelhut is the guy I have who did the design work, the particular illustrations. Thank you so much, Nomad Damon. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love Split Second. I had that movie poster in my house because I worked at a movie theater when I was a teenager, and it was sitting in the back. So here they are putting together suspension bridges, all of the things for the Futurama. What a work of genius these model builders are. By the way, look at the way they're dressed to give you an idea how far in the future they're imagining. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, you speaking of highly impractical but aesthetically pleasing, look at this stuff, but wow. Look at the craziness of this. Dam design, city planning and lighting. Just gorgeous stuff. Look at these buses. A lot of this stuff was built and experimented with or shown to people. Airships. Can you imagine how cool this stuff is when you're trying to get inspired? Paranoid Android 74, it's great to see you. Is there some interesting book in existence that Shanth actually doesn't have? Yes, there's tons. There's tons. And there's many books I haven't even met yet that I can't wait to meet. But yeah, look at this stuff. Norman Bell Geddes was a genius. An absolute genius. So yes, Norman Bell Geddes Designs America is a great book. This show was on tour a lot of different places. Just fantastic. And when I found out about the book, this is how crazy this is. And I had completely forgotten this. In the chat, if you can guess, who did I message when this book was released? Who did I send an email to and go, dude, have you heard of this? He was like, no. I go, you have to buy this. Guess who I messaged? No, you can't guess. My wife guessed. Who? No. Close. Nope. Someone we were just talking about. Who did I message when the Norman Bell Geddes book came out? Not Shane. Love to Shane, though. By the way, the 6 most dangerous words in the English language are Shane Davis saying, Shanth, I gotta show you something. Yo mama, says Enrique Cabrera. Possibly, not Rocky. That was my wife's guess, actually. Nope, not John. This is way older than that. Nope. My wife's just shouting all my friends' names from the next room. It's really funny. Kevin Conran. When that book was released on Norman Bell Geddes, I emailed Kevin Conran. He was like, oh my God, they just put out a Norman Bell Geddes book. I was like, yeah, you got to get it, dude. That's how small of a world this stuff is. Isn't that crazy? Oh, Dave Stevens wasn't with us. God rest him. I wish he was. Oh my God, incredible. But yeah, so that's the whole full circle. My wife was just watching a show with Ted Danson last night. She was loving it. That's an interesting thing, dropping Ted Danson in the chat. Always good to see him. So yeah, it wasn't Elon Musk. Now that would be, if I had Elon Musk on speed dial, I'd be worried. I feel like he knows too much. He might be a robot. So yeah, so I sent Kevin Conran news of that book and said, man, you've got to check this stuff out, because he introduced me to Hugh Ferris and all of that stuff, and Norman Bell Geddes he might have mentioned to me. I might have been on the documentaries on Sky Captain. So it's one of those ways where that back and forth happens in artwork so many times. But I really should reach out to Kevin Conran. He's great. I think he still has his Instagram up, so if you haven't followed him on Instagram, check it out. He usually posts very cool stuff. So another thing I wanted to just talk about real quickly today is, of course, the impact of this book and this gentleman on my life. I met Dave Stevens at San Diego Comic-Con. He wrote me a beautiful little note. It's like, to Shanth, good luck, Dave Stevens, because he reviewed my art. He said, this is really good. You should go over to Dark Horse and tell, Mike Richardson to take another look at your stuff. But I think at that point, Dave was very late on a Rocketeer book, and they were frustrated. But yeah. Yes, he is. He's still going and still starring in television shows. He's pretty incredible, that Ted Danson. So yeah. So here you go. The Rocketeer Artisan Edition. You will not find, in my opinion, more beautiful brushwork in the comic book Wallywood style tradition ever than Dave Stevens. Dave Stevens and Frank Frazetta are two people that are often imitated and can never be duplicated. It's interesting because one of the first, not one of the first, but one of the people who followed me on Instagram when I was, doing my art books and I was a couple of years into it and I was posting regularly, back when they just started Frazetta Girls, was Sarah Frazetta. So I got one of my first follows on Instagram when the Frazetta Girls had just started up was, of course, Sarah Frazetta following my stuff. And it's funny because I didn't grow up wanting to draw or paint or do anything like Frank Frazetta. That wasn't my generation. But I got into painting, and Frank Frazetta makes a lot of sense to me. His approach to stuff and the way he does things. So it's always interesting because I'm a big fan of Frank Frazetta now. But it's crazy how that stuff works, how that people spot stuff in your work sometimes that you don't know. Yeah, follow her. She's great, isn't she? She's fantastic. Love Sarah. So here you go. Here is The Rocketeer, one of those comics that just... It just changed my life. Like, I thought about comic art one way, which was very much the Image Comics, Todd McFarlane sort of style. And then freshman year of college, I'd already seen Jeff Darrow's work before I went to college. But when Big Guy, Rusty the Boy Robot, and all that stuff came out, and it was all stuff I was interested in, I got into Jeff Darrow. And Jeff Darrow and Dave Stevens got me using photo reference, really learning how to draw, and really got me excited about what I already loved about pulp. And I had said to somebody, because I was a big Todd McFarlane fan, and I said to somebody, I love dynamic artwork. If you they said you need to use reference. I said all the reference stuff I see looks dry and boring. I said, if you can show me somebody who uses reference and does dynamic, cool, sexy stuff, then I'll be excited about using reference. And they brought me The Rocketeer by Dave Stevens, and I fell in love instantly. Was like, this is my guy. So the first Springball stuff I did was in the Rocketeer style. The first Springball pages I did, I've never even put this together till just now. The first Springball pages I penciled are what I showed Dave Stevens when he wrote Good Luck, Shanth. He said, "You've got something I don't see here. Man, you can draw." And it was Springball pages when I was drawing from photo reference. My first short story I did of Springball, when it was still figuring out what it was, is what I showed Dave Stevens that day. Holy cow. That's wild. Do I have Jeff Darrow's lead poisoning art book? What'll you give me if I have it? Like, if I have Jeff Darrow's lead poisoning art book, would that impress you if I have that book? Stephen Rockwood, let me know in the chat. Would that impress you? I want to know. I want to know if that would be something impressive. Because I don't know if it would be impressive for me to own that book. Right? Would that be even remotely impressive if I owned that book? I don't think so. I don't think so. What do you think, Stephen Rockwood? We'll see. I'm still waiting for Stephen to respond. We'll see what Stephen has to say. You will win 52 nerd points. I got a way to win 1,000 nerd points on that book. I swear this stuff is never planned. Are you surprised that he has anything? You're right, Bruce Campbell's chin. It wouldn't be surprising. What would be surprising is if that book was 3 or 4 inches from me right now. There's only a certain amount of books that I can have near me. So that's what we call just the way the universe works sometimes. There you go. Lead poisoning. The pencil art of Jeff Darrow. Tip your waiters. I'll be here all week. So yeah, I do have lead poisoning by Jeff Toro within arm's reach. There you go, cats and kittens. That's why we have fun streaming on this channel, man. It's all about the art. Oh, I know you better have that book, Stephen Rockwood. Stephen Rockwood is one of my art book brothers. I didn't tell you this yet, but I'm adopting you, Stephen Rockwood. You're now amongst, and it's a very prestigious group, might I add. I'm not even kidding when I say that. But you are now one of my art book collecting brothers. So that's the way it is. No, Shanth, he got it into your head. He owns you. Yes, he does. I wouldn't be surprised, Paranoid Android. I'm willing to go quietly into the night in that regard right now. When I was teaching college, some students once asked me, they said, do you ever worry when you're up here talking that like we're all thinking you're an idiot? It was a very strange question to ask. Because, my classes were packed, students, I'd never really given it much thought. And I turned around and I looked at the students and I went, no, actually. My fear is that I'm a 75-year-old white man at a bus stop talking about and thinking I'm teaching art, and that I think that I'm, at that time, 38-year-old Indian, Austrian, Puerto Rican art professor born in Texas and raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's a real fear. Just at a bus stop. 75 years old, white guy, having this elaborate delusion. That's what keeps me up at night. Like, come on. Be afraid more. So, yeah. So, you've got Dave Stevens. Look at that beautiful GB. It's just a great drawing. I mean, it's not perfectly on model, but a human made it. That's what makes it great. And by the way, I should also say, I've definitely gotten to know and messaged back and forth with Randy Dalk, who did the graphic design for this book. Really amazing graphic designer. All the little touches he does on this book. He hit this book out of the park. That's a beautiful unfinished Dave Stevens piece right there. And of course, one of the greatest drawings of the character. Look at that beautiful GB illustration. That hatching right there, guys, if I can get that in frame. That brush inking is to die for. Look at that. How good is that? Oh my goodness. So beautiful. And just the fact that the hand lettering, all of that stuff is great. And then look at the type. Such good stuff. Incredible. Incredible work. Rondo Hatton. Referencing Rondo Hatton. The auto gyro This is one of the last Dave Stevens. This is the last Dave Stevens page, I think, done for the Rocketeer, because he did this as a filler page when they did the Collected of Cliff's New York adventure. And so that's our last Dave Stevens actual Rocketeer page that saw print. Beautiful. Just beautiful stuff. I can't say enough good things about Dave Stevens. He was so kind to me when I met him in San Diego. He took time with me. I don't even think he bothered to try to sell me anything. He just gave me a postcard, the Rocketeer Responds postcards he used to send out, and signed it to me, which was, I mean, I definitely have spent a lot of money on Dave Stevens, so it's not as if I may have bought something. I can't remember. I was so gobsmacked meeting Dave Stevens. I was like, I can't, what's happening right now? You know? At a light, and the whole family is blown away with how we have the term Futurama. Oh, I'm so glad, JT or J Thomas. It's fantastic to know that. Isn't that amazing? How these things just come about. We just sit around and we dream, and then we participate in other people's dreams. And the Futurama was a dream in 1939 that people could just step into. They could just step into this man's vision of the future, and whether it became the future or not, it should get you excited about the future. And one of the things I love so much about crowdfunding books and doing these things is you're buying a ticket to a dream with a bunch of other people, and it's not about paying for printing. It's about paying for the creation of the book. It's such a beautiful thing. And it's why I love it. And you guys are the people who get to have the pins when you're done, watching all these YouTube shows of, I have seen the future. I know what's coming. And that's what I love. Let me see here. Hey, Shanth, I just watched the Hallmark Frankenstein last night. It was fantastic. It was 1,000 times better than the Daddy issued atrocity that Netflix created. Well, look, I got to tell you, I loved, I would say, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. But my favorite Frankenstein, of course, is Mary Shelley's book. Who would have thought this dyslexic kid would ever say a sentence like that? I have to pause for a minute. Second favorite Frankenstein is the 1931 film. And then third favorite is Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein illustrated book, which I think we looked at last show. But that Hallmark movie is special. It's really, really special. And Beowulf actually sent me a link to a guy who was reviewing all of the various Frankensteins and checking off which one was the most accurate. And it won hands down. Yeah, it's Frankenstein. That's right. By the way, that is a great flick. That movie is such a great flick. I think I made that joke with Graham. I can never get the... you can have the blonde, and I'll take the one in the toy bin. One of my favorite lines of all time. Oh, it's so good, that movie. But yeah, beautiful stuff. And on these books, a lot of times Mike Kaluta chipped in on issue 2 of Cliff's New York adventure. Beautiful story here. I actually used to study with this character of Tina and this little backstory of Rondo Hatton's character. I studied the inks on these 2 pages with her right there. Her face is so fantastically inked here. Look at that. His brushwork is transcendent. Look at that. So I'm a huge fan of Basil Rathbone and his Sherlock Holmes series, which I have the complete Blu-ray collection of. Basil Rathbone is who he has cast as his shadow incarnation. He's clearly drawing from Basil Rathbone. Look at this beautiful piece. This is so great. This Rocketeer piece from this page. I mean, that was on t-shirts. I had a t-shirt with that on it. My brother Wes was dyslexic. They try to pigeonhole him as special needs. He was the only guy in town who could tune quadruport engines. That's great. Now, Past Master Dan, is this the brother who passed not long ago? Or is this another brother? Do let me know. And do let me know how his family is doing. I think you had mentioned at one point of that brother that his daughter had rung you about that. I can't recall. But it's never far from my mind. But then, really, what is at this point with you guys? I tend to actually remember people. But anyway, it's just beautiful artwork, just gorgeous stuff. Look at the perspective. Look at all of this beautiful attention to detail. And so when I saw Rondo Hatton in that particular episode, he's the one who passed last year to, for God's sake. Oh, God bless him and his family, past Master Dan. Yeah, he's the one who passed last year. Today is the anniversary. All right. Prayers up for his family and for past Master Dan as well and his family. Beautiful to be remembering him today. Then. Beautiful to be remembering. I have not forgotten him. And so, yeah, so here is really a wonderful aspect of seeing Dave Stevens' work is Dave Stevens, I had gotten the Amazing Spider-Man Steve Ditko Marvel Masterworks that year that I got into this. And as I started collecting the issues, Steve Ditko was doing stories with the Dave Stevens in Pacific Comic Presents. And this is one of his characters, the Missing Man, which I thought was just a beautiful, beautiful character. Just incredible stuff. Look at that. And just the use of even screen tone. I don't know if that was cut or if this is graphics duo shade. It looks no, it looks like it was cut. I don't think it's graphics duo shade. So that was actually just cut screen tone. You know, and it's just so lovely. But this was an unused cover, I think, that was going to have Dave Stevens drawing Ditko's The Missing Man and the Rocketeer opening up Pacific Comics Presents, which I love. I think it's just got a really beautiful and elegant quality to it. And of course, there's Dave Stevens. He did that self-portrait after a particularly brutal round of chemotherapy for his leukemia. And Ever the Gentleman, he and comedian, he named that painting Chemo Sabi, which I thought was great. So Dave Stevens is just such an incredible legend when it comes to art and when it comes to creativity and all of that kind of stuff, you know. And gotta absolutely love his work on the Rocketeer. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. So yeah, so I've been working on a ton of different stuff right now. Of course, I'm getting Nosfero ready and off to the printer. Got a painting off in the mail, and I'm even doing some sketching and some work. And I just realized this is the perks of this desk, folks. These are the perks of this desk. If you're curious what the madness, let me move this so you guys have a little bit more of a panoramic view of the studio here, where I do my work, where I ply my trade, where I've got Dracula, Cthulhu, the Gillman, and God knows whatever else, books and posters and prints and things over there. There's the trailer for SPRINGBALL and such. And then, of course, this is me doing some work and some sketching on a new page layout design idea I have for SPRINGBALL. And the way that I'm doing my sketching right now, for those of you guys who are curious, is what I do is I take blue, which is kind of like a non-photo blue. It's really easy for Photoshop to isolate. You can get rid of all of the color in Photoshop by just using the hue saturation if you're using blue or red or anything like, yeah, Kong is definitely represented. And that right there, that's a really good point. That is the Basil Gogos painted edition of NECA's King Kong. Isn't that great? I love that. It was such a great thing. I'm so glad they made it. But I take a little bit of this so I can keep my painter head on when I'm doing the sketches and sort of roughing these things out. And then I can go in and I can ink over top of this. And it's a very fun way to approach all of this stuff, which is with that kind of mentality. You know, when I'm working, is I sort of sketch things out. And let me give you guys a little bit more of a panoramic view of the stuff that I do. So when I go and I do work like this, if I rough things in with the paint, then I can go and take something like the Tombow brush pen, and I can go in and I can sort of play around with how I want to put the marks together, but without losing that kind of painterly, playful sense that is so important to building the work up. And that's what I'm really after when I'm doing that particular style. It's about keeping that sense of play. When I was younger and I was, an aspiring artist, and I would look at people like Todd McFarlane and all of that kind of stuff, to this day, I have a huge Dave Stevens Mr. Monster. I love that poster. Oh my gosh, when I was going up to Northampton when I was in college, they had the Words and Picture Museum that was founded by Kevin Eastman. And I bought that Mr. Monster poster. They had it for sale there and had that up in my dorm room. It is one of my absolute favorite Dave Stevens pieces. And yes, indeed, Demonized 3299 says, so sorry to hear past Master Dan. Indeed. Thinking of his family and wishing them well on this anniversary. Let me grab that book real quick. Let me see if I have it. Do I have it where I can get it? That is the complete sketches. Let me see if I have it over here. It's not there. It's not there. Let me see. I don't know if you guys can see me. Can you guys see me? No, probably not. Let me see. Not there. Not there. There's Jeff Darrow. There's some Dave Stevens. I could have sworn I had it around here somewhere. Alex Toth. Frazetta. Jeff Darrow. I know it's here somewhere. Huh. Drawing. Where the heck did it go? It's such a beautiful piece. I wonder... I think I know what the spine of that book looks like. Where the heck is it? It's not there. Huh. Maybe it is over here. Maybe I just missed it. Edward Hopper, Robert McGinnis, Stone, more Dave Stevens. I gotta figure out what the spine of that book looks like so I can find it. How to Draw, Boo Studios, Faust, Beatrix Potter. Ugh, I can't find it right now, but I'm sure it's here somewhere. Is it near me? No. I don't think it's there. Huh. I feel as though I'm going to keep looking for it. Or in my mind, and I'm going to see if I spot it from over here. Do you know what the spine of that book? It was like complete short stories, covers and short stories. Huh. But if you don't know the Mr. Monster piece... Oh, you can't hear me. That doesn't shock me. Sorry, I was off thing. Yeah, it was... Michael T. Gilbert was so kind. I wrote him once and he sent me back. Oh, a little Mr. Monster head sketch. So great. No charge. Yeah. I got that same Mr. Monster poster. See, there's a lot of loves. Comic Books in Cahoots is there. Yeah, there's a ton of love for that man. What a great... It's such a beautiful illustration, the way he draws Mr. Monster. I can't believe... You know what? There's a book that has it that I did see, so I'm going to grab that. Ooh, hopefully don't start an avalanche. Whew, there we go. I'll probably find it 3 seconds after this. I'm pretty sure it's in the Dave Stevens art book, which is very well loved, A Brush with Passion. Let me see. Yes, he was. Dave Stevens and the creator of Mr. Monster, both, I think you could say, were class acts. And I think that's one of the things we try to do here in terms of that. Like, whenever I'm sending out packages to people, always try to make sure... Oh, there it is. Look at that. Look at it's just the inks. It's not the color, but look at that. How beautiful are those inks? Just a great... And I love that bat behind the behind the logo. So fantastic. Look at the dog. Isn't that great? Oh, so good. So good. Love it. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, I love that artwork so much. They actually released, I think, a Mr. Monster figure not long ago, and I was so excited about that. I don't think I got it, but it would have been cool. Or at least they were advertising one or something. I have some vague memory of it. But yeah, Dave Stevens was such a great guy and such a talent. And yeah, really great stuff. So this is, yeah, now that's cartooning indeed. You're absolutely right. And that's the thing I think that makes Springball so fun for me when I'm doing the work, is that there's some cartooning, of course, in Nosfero. But when I'm working on Springball, it's all about the cartooning. And I don't ever look down my nose, because that would be a long distance, but I don't ever look down my nose at cartooning, because I think cartooning is the lifeblood of Norman Rockwell, of N.C. Wyeth, and all of the great illustrators, Winsor McKay. To me, cartooning is not a thing that makes life kind of like a joke in terms of how you illustrate things. Cartooning is something that is an attempt to bring just the highest level of pure life to something that is a static drawing. Oh, I love the Airboy Dave Stevens poster too. That Marilyn Monroe is to die for that he illustrated. Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn have to be two of the most difficult likenesses you could ever try to tackle, because they have these very specific, soft sort of faces. There's something about it. Good cartooning is difficult as hell. Amen. And you know what's interesting about that, Stephen Rockwood? When I saw that Gustave Doré book that you have, the thing that struck me about it was both his ability to represent things accurately and his ability to kind of capture things in a very his classical skills. But when he cartooned, he could cartoon like a madman. My God, could that guy cartoon. And he did such beautiful works of imaginative illustration. Just incredible imaginative illustration. And, you know, if you look around and you take a look at the studio, the most important job that my workspace has is to make sure, hello to you, Boombots444. Hello, Mr. Andgetti. Mr. Monster goes guns akimbo based indeed, and breathtakingly cool character design. Love that stuff. You know what's interesting? Speaking of, if I can find it here, I have, guys, this space right now, and I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's the definition of a calamity at the moment. Here we go. If you think about that high belt that Mr. Monster has, that really cool high belt, it definitely was something that I'm sure was in the back of my brain when I was designing that high belt sort of stomach guard, almost like a samurai stomach guard for Nosfero. So yeah, I absolutely love this thing. You know, what do you think of Carrie Nord's work on Conan? Oh my gosh, look at this. This is craziness. Hold on, let me come back to I'm going to come back to this. I just saw. I think the disdain for cartooning is one of the problems with American comics now. Look at how Razorfist sneered at the perfectly fine Joker by Travis Charest. Yeah, you know what's interesting though is that Razorfist, I know, is a fan of some cartoons. He's a big Ninja Turtles fan of Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's. I just think that is that's very likely just a cultural convention, a cultural norm. For anybody who passes through, and I would include myself in that, I had to fight very hard against it. Anybody who passes through any academic institution and is around those cultures, it became very intellectual to put down that style of work. But then you would see other stuff like Dick Tracy and things like that that are also, Chester Gould had his things. They were more traditional forms of cartooning, but they weren't so much cartooning with texture. And I think sometimes that's just how people come down. But yeah, I also would say if you look at the Cal Art style that's much derided, it's because cartooning has become almost an artifact and there's a drawing element to cartooning and evolution to it. But that's a very good point. So yeah, I mean, that stuff, let me just call it up. I want to make sure I see it. Image. Oh yeah, that's, oh yes, yes. Very nice. Very nice stuff. Yeah, you know what's, I love the this particular piece I'm looking at. I can't share it right now or it'll just throw everything into insanity. But it's very nice stuff. I'm wondering where I saw, I know I've seen his stuff in a book though. Was it one of the Chimeran books? The Guild? I think I remember that stuff, but I don't think I know. I'm trying to think of where I've seen his stuff in print. It's beautiful, though. Looks really nice, from what I can gather. Very, very nice. The intelligentsia has been hypocritical on art. They absolutely have been. They absolutely have been. But I think, how do I put it? It's just in general about this whole thing, because I've been thinking about this stuff a lot. Okay, so you guys, you folks who are here and in Comicsgate and on Comicsgate streams, right, and checking this stuff out. A lot of the people that I know, and most of the people I know outside of this sphere, who just, they're not going to stream, they're not going to go online. They just do their work. They're working in the industry. We argue and we debate things all the time, and they're really not that often arguments. I mean, most of the time we're just like, I like this, and someone will be like, oh, really, you like that? But it's all tongue in cheek. It's a part of what we do. But I think there is a tremendous benefit that people are afforded now in this particular time, that goes beyond just the benefit of being able to put your voice out there, but to be able to be a fly on the wall inside of a lot of working professionals, art studios who you would not meet or see otherwise. And I think in a lot of ways, people are catching up with that. So when Shane and I talk Godzilla artwork and we do a deep dive into it, and we talk about all of the different artists that we know working in the industry and all of the different jobs that we've had. Same thing goes with when I'm talking to John, we usually deep dive into very specific comic book artwork. But it's done from a standpoint of having, actually, done illustrations, done certain things at a particular professional level. And you kind of quickly realize the benefit of that, and you talk differently when you're around people who have experience, because there's this big gap, right, between the idea of what it's like to do a job and the grind of doing the job, and what really goes in when you're working on these things behind the scenes. And I think sometimes there's a little bit of this struggle catching up with that stuff. I said to a buddy of mine who was a co-creator and showrunner on a fairly massive show back in the day, and he came out to do some teaching at the college that we both went to and where I was teaching. And after the first day teaching, he's like, my God, that was nuts, but I'm going to get ready. I'm going to plan for tomorrow. He came home, he passed out, his alarm went off, and it was time to teach again. And he said, oh my God, this is the most exhausting job I've ever done. And I looked at him and I went, I know it's tiring. I know it's hard. But just imagine if you dropped me into your job, managing animation studios in Korea and different timetables, doing writing scripts, directing voice actors. I would implode. Your job is a million times harder than most people can imagine. And I can't imagine stepping into it and trying to do it. And so, I always would try to remind my students when I was teaching, it's one thing to talk about, when you're in college, you get very much into this critique mindset where you start talking about professionals' work, and it sort of went like rampant. It went, I don't want to use viral because that's so, it has so many different connotations now, but it was almost like an accelerant for opinion culture, right? And I love good opinion culture where people break film down, and it can be so great. I love that sort of stuff. But at a certain point, it has to be done with a humility of what's involved in the actual making of the artwork and what's going on at the time. And artists, when we're learning, we go through a lot of different phases, and you might get somewhere incredible. down the road, but you go through this different learning curve, and you have to appreciate that. Best way I could put it is, there are some artists whose early stick figures are going to be better than the average person could do if they dedicated their life to it, and Travis Charest is one of those people. Like, the average person can't do his bad drawings at the start of his career. That's how good he is. And I think that's also really good context to have when you're looking at work. Saturnoth, what's up? Sosa, is it Sosa? Is it Ribeiro, or is it tell me how to pronounce the second name. It's great to see you, my friend. How are you doing? If an artist has the wrong opinions, they're on the outs. Yeah, I think you just have to kind of boldly kind of move ahead. Like, most of my artist friends, we don't agree on everything by any stretch of the imagination, but we laugh, we realize that, and when we talk shop, we get down to the nitty-gritty of composition. We know that it's up to the artists themselves to make the decision on what to do and what advice to take and what advice to scrap. It's important. Saying viral is so last week, like, oh my god, you're right. Oh my gosh. What are all the slang terms I'm hearing right now? Crash out. Oh, it drives me crazy. I don't know. Old people should use older slang. Like, when I when I think about me saying that, I feel but my kids use that a lot. What's another one that's big right now that's like that? Low key. Mrs. and Jenny just shouted from the other room. Maromi said 67. 6'7". Sorry. 6'7". My wife corrected me, Maromi. Sorry, you guys are cracking me up. I love this chat, man. Shoth is so felted. Oh my god, you guys are killing me. Riz, yeah, but even that's getting dated. There was one that was like with Crash Out. What is the one our daughter uses? I'm so cooked. Cooked. We hear that all the time. Not to be confused with cooking. Right? I'm cooked. I am so cooked. Boomer maxing. Yeah, you're right. No, it's totally true. Round here's a bit different, yeah, because this was the place to get away from, yeah. That's so the likes like Riding Hood could exist. Listen, Simply Green, I'm in love with that book. Let Shanth cook, said Eric Huffles. You're cracking my wife up, guys. You guys are awesome. Yeah, Mrs. Ingetti, by the way, yeah. What an amazing person she is. And she's been on this crazy journey with me, you know, since we met. And Rocky's been on this crazy journey with me since we were both 18 and met in college. And fell in love. But you know, it's skibbity toilet. On God. Oh, jeez. You guys are killing it. Yeah, stick a fork in Shanth. He's done. You guys are not, you're not far wrong, guys. You're not far wrong. When I was using a lot of old school slang when I went off to college, because I was around that college time, because I was really into Jimmy Cagney movies and really into Miller's Crossing and really into the 20s and 30s slang. So that was one of the things I was really about. So I'd say things like, quote, Rocketeer stuff, like, are your eyes painted on? Dead as Dillinger, those kinds of things. Like, but also, you know, from Reservoir Dogs. But some of the ones I would use is Don't Get All Sweaty About It. What's another one? What's the Skinny, of course. Just a bunch, because I had, in my dorm room, I had George Harrell photos on the wall. So I had Jean Harlow, Baby Jean. I had Jimmy Cagney, Humphrey Bogart, Norma Shearer, all of these actors and actresses, these iconically beautiful people. I loved that era. Rocketeer, all that threw me into it. You guys are killing me so much, man. There's also Riz or Riz. That's right. FR. You guys are killing me, man. For real. My wife just said for real from the other room. Oh my God. Yeah. And honestly, that's why we're here. Like, weirdly, you're right. Running away from all of the crazy sort of stuff to get back to basics, because my comic book history. Like, in this studio, one of my favorite things I own is the first piece of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles licensing. I just realized my little trailer loop just went off. Let me get that going again. Let me grab this, and you guys can see me grab it. That sounded terrible. Here we go. Well, one is the first license thing, and the other is something that ties into that kind of stuff. So, this is the first piece of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles licensing. Still in the box. These are and this was an illustration by Kevin Eastman on it. Actually, it looks like it was painted by Eastman, but drawn by Laird based on the way the face looks. I must have drawn this package back when I had the original ones that I got as a kid. I must have had this package, and I, carefully peeled the cardboard off of it. Yeah, boy, now that's getting to be old Comicsgate slang, isn't it? Like, that's what really gets me, is that we have our own slang history, too. Wow, that's a trip, right? These were the little lead figurines put out by Ral Partha, or who did? No, it was. I'm sorry. What am I thinking? It was Dark Horse Miniatures. This was before Dark Horse Comics, maybe, or it was around the same time. No, it must have been. Was it before? But they did these miniatures. Yeah, no colors on the toys. This was like all I had to show my love for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trade paperback. Me and my buddy were into this stuff. When the cartoon dropped, we were spoiled for choice with Ninja Turtle stuff, but being big fans of it, I had somewhere in here, no, I have the PDF of it, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness role-playing game. That is why these miniatures existed. Love these things. Yeah, these are little, that's why the sword on Leonardo, even though it's not out of the package, is bent, because they are soft lead miniatures. And the gentleman who sculpted, look at that, $10 written on the back of this. This was probably when it was sold later on for more money. I don't know what this was. Yeah, this product contains lead and should not be chewed on or swallowed. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Contact Mirage Studios in Sharon, Connecticut. This shows how old it is. They were in Sharon, Connecticut before they settled in Northampton. Isn't that just like... Oh, sorry, you guys can't see that. They were in Sharon, Connecticut before they settled in Northampton. You can find old interviews where people drive to their studio when the movie just came out. And they're like, they wouldn't let cameras show where it was so they wouldn't get bothered. Look at how cool that is. So I do have Ral Partha miniatures over here of something else I was a huge fan of, and that has influenced my work somewhat. Is that broken in there? I feel like it is, but I'm not sure. No, maybe not. I was a huge fan because my buddy who introduced me to comics. Yeah, they don't realize how delicious lead can be, says Stephen Rockwood Drawing. You're right. These are the Shadowrun miniatures, the Street Samurai. And this one artist did a lot of the interior illustrations in Shadowrun, and I love his stuff. Let me see if I can get that in focus. It's tough with the ring light. But they had these hand razors and a great Mac 10 in his hand being illustrated. Always loved this stuff, man. It was like Terminator meets the Punisher. It was such cool stuff. And of course, that idea of the sword, Street Samurai kind of thing. I loved the movie Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme. The toy that put the Tooth Fairy out of business. You're absolutely right. You guys remember these packages. So when I talk about going like way back with my love of comics and all this stuff, man, I'm not kidding. I mean, is it as back as some of you guys are? Nope, but it's pretty far back. And I love it all. I loved the idea of meeting comic creators when they were just comic creators. And before everybody moved into comics, Shadowrun 4th, I poured over that art. Yeah, there's great stuff in Shadowrun. But it's all stuff that, like White Dwarf magazine, and I got inspired to learn how to do certain things in painting by that stuff. Oh, actually, let me show you this, guys. You never know where the conversation's going to take us. I didn't know I was going to be talking about Norman Bell Geddes today. I can tell you that. Let me see if I can find these pages and share this image here. There's all the Black Riding Hood art for the trailer. You guys cannot see that stuff. Actually, you've probably seen this stuff because it's in the trailer for the most part. But I'm not going to show it anyway. Because that's John's stuff. Let me see here. Yeah, God, guys, Black Riding Hood, when that thing comes back online, back the hell out of it. John is so creative, and the stuff he's doing with that book really inspired me to want to create a Black Riding Hood piece, which some of you guys have saw the early progress on that. Let me see if I can share some of this stuff. 1 second, guys. Let's do overlays. God help me. Can I find it? New. I'm old as dirt, as Bob Ross would say. New image overlay. Desktop. Let me see if this is this the one or is this the one? So I don't know what year this. Oh, 1988. So I would have been 12. And I would have been over at my friend Zach Cullis's house. You can actually see him paint Warhammer. He hasn't updated his Instagram in forever. But I follow him. He's one of the people I follow on Instagram, so you can track him down that way. But he paints Warhammer miniatures. He was the guy whose brother played D&D. He was one of the, let me talk about Zach for a minute, man. So Zach was one of those guys when I was growing up in Chattanooga who loved comics, loved art, loved role-playing games, was into all this cool nerd stuff I knew nothing about, introduced me to my first comic shop run by this guy named Wade Sane. Like, he had such a huge impact on me. He introduced me to Todd McFarlane, the Punisher. He gave me a Punisher Marvel pin because he had a pin set. He's like, pick a comic character you're going to be. And he just had a huge impact on me and was such a terrific guy. And he never looked at anybody or looked at me ever like, oh, you're different than this or whatever. It was just like we were two kids, and he would have me over to his house, and he just said, I used to love drawing with you. He goes, because I couldn't draw for shit. He said this to me, God, a couple of years ago. But he goes, I just loved being around you when you drew. And he owned some of my originals from back then. I did artwork for him. What a great dude. So he would introduce me to all of this stuff, right? And so I would see this. I couldn't paint for beans. He could paint Warhammer miniatures so much better than I could. I didn't even understand. But little things like this, seeing guys like Mike McVeigh and these artists doing step-by-step, here's how you paint a shield. Here's how you paint a face. It's so funny to think about because this would be nothing for me to do now. But as a young kid, it was incredible. It was incredible to get to know this stuff existed, and it was a huge influence. Most people wouldn't ever know this stuff existed. Name of the mag, what would do articles with this here in UK was White Dwarf. Not sure if it was sent over there. It was, yeah. So this was the UK. This was the UK magazine. So it had Thrud the Barbarian, all that stuff, if you guys remember it. And then let me replace this image with the other image I have here. So when I was thinking about character designs and things like that, I was looking at this showcase, which was on the other page, of people doing their own custom paintings. The Beakies are the way it is for me when it comes to Warhammer, because my buddy Zach would have all these plastic and metal miniatures. He'd go, here, you can have some, and just, this dude he's so funny. I talked to him about 5 or 6 years ago for the first time in I don't know how long. And he ordered my book, Nosfero, which was like so beautiful in and of itself, because he introduced me to comics when I was like 10. He introduced me to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He brought that trade paperback to school. We were just, comic book fans. He's basically like, you can draw? You need to draw Ninja Turtles. And I was like, okay. It's ridiculous, man. It's how life goes. Good old Chattanooga, man. And Zach, God bless you, buddy. And so he showed me this. He'd go, here's a bunch of Warhammer figures. You can have these to paint. And these are the kinds of paint you have to buy. And it was just the coolest kind of person you could have. What a friend to have. And so I saw this, and I'll never forget how badass my young mind thought it was that this cyborg-eyed warrior guy from the future had a giant power fist that said Hand of God on it. And I just thought, this is so cool, because I'm into Mike Zeck Punisher and all that stuff. So yeah, I've definitely got a badass Punisher-esque story in me somewhere. Don't know when that'll happen. Maybe it'll happen in the pages of Springball or as a backup story. But man, I've always been impressed by people who could paint miniatures like that. In 1985, Chattanooga was showing, yep, that's right, was showing Robotech in the afternoon. Did you ever watch them back then? Yes, I did. And my buddy Zach and I, he got me, this is so nerdy. God bless you guys. But this is Comics and Curios inside the studio, guys. This is what the show's going to be. You guys make it what it is and make it's so fun to hang out. Thank you guys, channel members, everybody for your support, by the way. So he bought these little stubby Robotech Macross fighters or whatever, the Veritech fighters. And they had these stubby versions of them. And he assigned me and another friend. He was Rick Hunter. I was Max. What was the damn guy's last name? Shoot. Starts with an S, I think. Crap. He had the blue ship, which is my favorite color. The blue fighter. And he had glasses. Someone in the chat get this for me. What the heck was his name? And then when we got into the Robotech book series, we were both obsessed with Scott Bernard. We thought he was we all hoped we'd have blue hair and one hair strand that came down. They're called Super Deformed. Max Sterling! You got it, Bruce Campbell's chin. Nice. Max Sterling. Thank you. Dang, that was going to bother me. So Max Sterling was the one I had. And he had, of course, Rick Hunter's with the skull and crossbone on it and everything like that. And so we bought Sterling. The chat's getting it. Comic Books and Cahoots knows. They're called Super Deformed indeed, Eric Huffle. So so he had that, right? So to this day, I did own it, or did I own it for a brief period? No, I think I never bought it, but it's on my bucket list of toy figure things I want to have when they put out a really good version of one. I think they've actually released a good version of one. Is Scott Bernard and the Cyclone armor. That is the coolest thing ever. And when I was in Chattanooga, they had this store. I don't know if you guys remember this store, actually, in the 80s. It was called Service Merchandise. Do you guys remember Service Merchandise? None of the product was out on the store front. They had glass cases with things, and then you went with a number of the thing you wanted to buy, and it would come out on a conveyor belt in its box. I don't know if you guys remember that. And they had the Mattel-released Cyclone, the large Mattel-released Cyclone figure and motorcycle, and I wanted it so bad. And then I never got it, but it went. Then they stopped selling it, and that thing was like I loved it. And they've made tons of awesome stuff, since, but I just loved that thing. Got my He-Man figures from Service Merchandise. I love it. Yep, we had them in Birmingham. Birmingham is really cool. I used to drive through there all the time. I think I'm right on this. Birmingham used to be where I hooked up to 331 to go visit my wife and her family when they were down in the Panhandle. Is 331 going to Birmingham? Let me know in the chat there, Comic Books and Cahoots. Because when I was driving from Chattanooga, I would drive down to Atlanta, over to Birmingham, and then south to the Panhandle. And I think it was 331 that I took, but I could be wrong. Yeah, great place to buy appliances and TVs. That it was. And yeah, He-Man, I just go to the toy section with my hand pressed against the glass, Oh, 65 South. That's what it is. Thank you. 65 South. That's right. Holy cow. That's a trip. Yeah, love that stuff. What's up, Headless Bourgeoisie channel member? How are you doing, man? And thank you for your continued support. By the way, channel members, I appreciate it. Yeah, so I used to drive over there. My wife's family, a lot of her family is over in Birmingham now, so we love that stuff. God, we sucked at naming stuff as a nation. We did. We struggled with it. It wasn't good. It wasn't good, Grim Jim 666. It was a less than ideal time. But this was the stuff that really ignited my imagination. When I was doing this work and when I was trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do as an artist? And I just drew all the time. I didn't know that was something you did anything with. And if Zach Cullis hadn't introduced me to comics, and he's going to get a dedication in SPRINGBALL, because that really is a book that owes so much to him. The first comic I self-published was a comic called Indigo, and it's got a dedication to Zach in it. He's one of the names listed. And but Zach just introduced me to comics, and I don't know where I would be. I sent off my first submissions package to DC and Marvel when I was 11. So I was sending out submissions packages at 11 and 12 years old. And of course, you guys have seen that piece I did when I was 14 that was published in Wizard Magazine. I think that's up on my Instagram. I posted that somewhere. Yeah, they had a floor model of the Nintendo Virtual Boy at Service Merchandise. Yep, they also had a laser tag there, if I remember correctly. What is up, Wild Streams for you? Woo! Shanth, hail CG and chat. Indeed. Hail CG and chat. Virginia was the most creative we got, and it just strange the reasons for that name. Yeah. It was a really cool time back then in terms of just, and I guess it's a little bit like now with Comicsgate, right? You could discover something you'd never heard of. Like, you can stumble into streams. I didn't even know Ethan was a comic book artist. I only knew him from Star Wars streams. Like, he had mentioned it, but I wasn't following mainstream comics when Ethan was drawing them. And then I start telling my buddies about, and they were all like, how do you not know Ethan? He drew, because my buddy's a huge DC Comics fan. And I just think if Kathleen Kennedy hadn't taken over Star Wars and done what she had done, I think I said this to Ethan on a stream recently, I never would have found out about him. You know, but everything happens that way. It's just nuts how many times we all crossed paths. You know, sometimes that really is, you're like, it's not my plan, it's someone else's plan. Let's see here. Still have script rejection letters from Marvel. Yep, I have photocopies of all my rejection letters from Mike Carlin and various editors at DC with notes on my stuff. Gotta love it, yeah, because Spider-Man, let's see, script rejection letters from Marvel because it had Spider-Man. Yes, it did! That great Romita piece, and it had the Marvel address and that beautiful bold type. I remember that. Holy cow. Yeah, loved that stuff. My dad brought home a Treasury stack. I know that's a story so many people have. A stack of DC Treasury editions when I was 5. Been addicted to comics ever since. Those are those stories that overlap and that, that make being in Comicsgate and being a comic book fan such a great thing. If Comicsgate has done, it's done a lot of things for me. It's helped me find my artist brothers for sure. Outside of my artist brothers out here who we all do very different stuff, concept design, video game design, gosh, everything you can imagine. Storyboarding for film. It's a crazy sort of thing. But I've always been a comic book guy in my heart. That's sort of what I'm about. And so getting to go into deep dives with comics again with all of you guys and with Shane and with John and with Ethan, and it's just so many people that are my age essentially, a little bit younger I think in John and Shane's cases, and just a little bit older in Ethan's case. Like right between all of those guys, but it doesn't matter because we all remember similar stuff, and it's almost shocking, that chain of thought. And also getting to meet people from the South, Yeah, Destiny even. You're not kidding. I mean, Shane bought my first book that I drew when I was 17 in a gas station off a spinner rack. Of all the things. Crazy. What age rating would you give Springball? That's a really good question. What age range would I give it? Yeah, okay. That's a really good question. PG-13. Because I'm thinking about PG-13 when it started. PG-13 afterwards. It's definitely not rated R. And there's no... there's like outside of kind of horror, but there's not like, nudity or anything in it like that. There's some creepy stuff, like stuff in shadow, like there's a guy who gets dissected, but a lot of that is like much more, again, it's something you would probably see in like Five Nights at Freddy's, the kind of like, I don't think I go too far past Blumhouse horror. So I would say maybe it doesn't go beyond Spawn, Todd McFarlane's Spawn, or his early Spider-Man issues of the Solo series he did. That's what I would say. When is Springball shipping? As soon as it's done. So my plan has always been for, because I'm, working on it right now. My plan has always been for 2026. And if you could see the InDesign document, it's a question of editing pages and moving color around, but you can read the book right now. So I'm just working on the script and the colors and the detail. You're very welcome, Boombots444. It's my pleasure. It's funny, I don't think about that very often, but I should think about that more. So it's right there. Oh God, I'm not reading that, Stephen Rockwood. I'm not that much anyway. No, that's not accurate, Stephen. There's none of that business. There's not even that in Nosfero, for heaven's sake. Nosfero, here's how Nosfero is an quote R rating, or whatever the British rating system is. The most R rated I really get in my stuff is like Hammer horror movies in the 70s. there's going to be nudity. That's like about it. Female nudity. That's it. And like in much more of a cheesecake 70s Hammer sort of way. Not in a grotesque way, because that's not what I like to really, not for this stuff. That's not what I like to illustrate, generally speaking. I'd have to have something that I wanted to do in order to ever do anything further than that. And I find that there's enough drama for me at this point when I'm doing my work to where that's just not something I really want to go into. I think I've seen so many things in real life that it's not something I particularly care to fantasize about, in my work. So I just kind of try to approach things from a standpoint of how it affects the drama. So for me, the things that I'm really, very good. Yeah. PG 12, 15, and 18. Yeah. I forget what the rating was in the 70s in the UK. That's what I'm blanking on. But like there's a sequence. I'll give you a really good example of a sequence in one of my books. And I'm actually working on a novel, and that's, I've been working on it now for about a year or two. No, there's no timetable on it. It's just something I'm doing for me. A book inspired by a friend of mine. She was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I started writing it thinking about her husband and how tough of a loss that was going to be. And she passed away this past year. So it's a book that's very close to my heart. It's going to be dedicated to her when it's done. Even if I self-publish it and there's just one copy. But when I'm writing stuff, there's this little exchange where the werewolf Greylock shares the story of Nosfero with Laurel. It's X. That might have been what it was, Brent Mackey. And it's great to see you, Brent. How are you doing, sir? This is going to sound funny, Brent, but you actually remind me of a friend of mine, several friends of mine when I was growing up. It's so strange when I see your picture. You actually kind of remind me a little bit of Zach, funny enough, but who I was just talking about. But when he's telling the story, and he's talking about how he basically became, in a sense, the adopted caregiver of Nosfero in this beautiful sort of scene where they embrace. And what I love about it is the walls to my prison crumbled in the dust and debris. And in the dust and debris, I can't read right now. Glasses. And in the dust and debris, I clawed my way towards the boy. The only thing I knew was that I had to reach him and embrace him. I did not know why. That was the first time he called me Greylock. Nosfero told me that in the darkness and through the pain, he could hardly see my cell from where he was chained. The only thing that he could see was a single lock of gray hair in my mane. He said that he prayed that that we would both survive, and that one day we would meet in this world or the next. And that's how the character got his name. And there's just these beautiful little sequences that I like to write, because I think that drama is such an important thing to put into the books, the dramatic aspect of things and the human condition. And there's little lines I was telling Mike Barron about, because we were talking about SPRINGBALL, recently with regards to some other thing. And there's this line that SPRINGBALL says that makes me think of myself sometimes and think about sort of the frustration, where he's talking about how his emotions and how he feels about a particular situation in a very logical sort of way. And he goes, see, it's not that I don't have feelings, it's that I only have one expression. So he's got his face in that, you can actually see it on screen there. He's got his face in this one expression, and he's designed to have that expression because he was designed as essentially a military weapons testing crash test dummy. And then, again, it's not just why he gets his powers. An accident, of course, as it's often the case. The caprice of the fates give him powers, wipe out anyone who would know of his history. So he's kind of a free agent in that sense. And because he was used for weapon testing, one of the things they found is that the more human a subject looked, the harder it was for them to depersonalize it and use it for a target. So they made him look like this impish clown with a frowning, angry face and an angry brow that is his permanent face, so that when you're testing weapons on him, you don't feel a lot of empathy or sympathy for him. And it makes it so much creepier, of course, when he's going around the city fighting crime, that he's got this creepy sort of face on him. But that's the reasoning behind it that leads to the aesthetics. I'm not too bad. How are you doing, Shanth? I do have a few doppelgangers. My father got around. There you go. There you go. Well said. So something like Howl's Moving Castle, Ghost in the Shell, the Fist of the North Star references for you guys. All day reference for you guys. It's interesting. I haven't seen Fist of the North Star, but I know it was a huge influence on Berserk. And a little bit like Adam from Real Steel. What's really funny? Let me get back. I want to get back to that in a second. Let me read this one too, because I want to make sure I get this chat. I let my kids watch Saving Private Ryan. Yep. But not the Peacemaker. Yeah. Show. It's just a case of parental guidance. Yes, absolutely. I showed my kids Saving Private Ryan as well. I thought it was very important for them to understand when certain terms were being bandied about what sacrifices have been paid by our soldiers, and for us to have the liberties that we have, which is something I make sure I say at the end of Nosfero. So here's what I was going to say about that. Here's something I found really interesting about Inglorious Rex, and that I thought was also something that Shane has in his book, that when 232 loses his pilot, and he loses Alex's brother, Nate, he gets used as basically a Rex punching bag before those two come together. And he kind of is reborn and has a new life. And I think that Nosfero has a very much a Conan the Barbarian Wheel of Pain sort of childhood kind of thing. And what I always want to thank you for dropping that link. Nine Lives Comics by Shane Davison, Yanzi. How do I pronounce her name? It's Yanzi. Yeah, everybody says Yanzi or Yanzi, and it's like, I think it's like Yanzi, but I'm not sure. But they're just such a great outfit, man. They really are so together, and I'm very inspired by them in terms of, and very supportive. Shane has been very supportive of me. Yeah, your face, it's amazing. And the English dub has, yes, I will. I've got so many things on my list that I have to take a look at. Right now, it's crazy. But they just do great work. I think a lot of us are writing stories about characters who've been through things, and they don't let that define them. They're defined by their aspirational beliefs and the things that they care about. Is it Yonsei? Is that how? Or Tse? Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, Yonsei. Wow. Thank you. That's really good, Past Master Dan. That is really helpful. That's what we want to write, aspirational stuff. Like Springball's because it's a cross between Spider-Man and Evil Dead. He's almost got he's a lot more Ash in the way he approaches things. He's a lot more Ash. Like he's not an android. He doesn't speak like Warlock, or anything like that. He's not synthetic. Yunze, I think, is how it's pronounced. Like this is the thing we know, because people have been around and traveled and met different people. Fist is Mad Max, but martial arts, and a lot of people exploding. There you go, Bruce Campbell's chin. Speaking of Bruce Campbell, so that's always been kind of the appeal for me when it comes to doing this stuff, and trying to figure out what kind of stories I want to tell. And yeah, guys, we're gonna keep doing more of this stuff. I just realized we've been going for about 2 hours. It's a mushroom. There you go. We've been going for 2 hours now, so I'm gonna wrap up. Thank you on behalf of me and Mrs. Ingetti for tuning into this stream, and it's been great talking to you guys. I'm going to try to do more of this stuff. The last 9 days have been crazy, just trying to get some stuff shipped off, trying to get some stuff organized, getting ready for Nosfero, all of that stuff. And so thank you guys so much for being here, for being channel members, all of my channel members. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jeremy Burtz. Thank you, Eric Huffles. I will see all of you guys soon from the heart of Lovecraft Country and the birthplace of American religious liberty. My name is Jonathan Jetty. You've been watching Jonathan Jetty Art. Make sure you hit that like, hit that bell for notifications. Make sure you're subscribed. Think about becoming a channel member, and you will have your name listed in the channel credits at the end of every single stream. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, Past Master Dan, and of course, the glorious Sukondis. It is great to see you. Grim Jim, it's great to see you as well. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys are all doing well. Much appreciated. And thank you for dropping that link, Eric Huffles. Past Master Dan, love to your family and love to your brother's family. Wishing you guys all a beautiful day, and with gratitude for your brother and all the beautiful things he brought into your life. I appreciate it, and I know I benefit from it in some way, for certain. Stephen Rockwood, always bringing the noise with boobs. Bless you, Headless Bourgeoisie. It's great to see you. Take care, Aviator Surge. And thank you so much, Comic Books in Cahoots. Let me see who else I might be missing. Brent Mackey, thank you so much. Let's see here. Boombots, thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Clint Lowe, thank you. Maromi, thank you. Let's see who else I'm missing. Headless Bourgeoisie, I have. Thank you so much. Enrique Cabrera, thank you so much. Wild Stream for you, thank you. Jeremy Burtz, of course. Jeremy Burtz Art. Stephen Rockwood, and where else am I? I was looking for somebody else. Dang it. Bruce Campbell's Chin, thank you. Simply Green. Look at all you fine people here. Buzz Acevedo, it's good to see you, my friend. Art and Times of Jay Ryan, no cap, he always says. Oh my gosh, let me see here. Where are we? Who else have I got? Look at all this. Man, this is a lot of people. Thank you guys all for tuning in today. Just seeing if I missed anybody else. Paranoid Android, thank you for being here. Hong Kong Fooey, thank you. Corey Landis, thank you. Let's see here. N2 Paints, thank you. Infamous Mr. Curse, channel member, thank you so much for being here. Let me see. Who else have I got here? Nomad Damon, thank you so much for gifting a membership and for celebrating 6 months. Much appreciated having you here. Let me see here. A Man Called Plush, thank you for being here as well. Let me see if I missed anybody. I'm trying to grab as many people as I can here, and then I'll go back to the bottom here. Lone Wolf, good to see you. Where are we? Art Haida, great seeing you here today. And let's see here. Michelle Bowers, great seeing you. Welcome back to being a member. Chris Bouchard, great having you here. Sergeant Politeness, great having you here. Great to see both of you guys. Cryptic Catalyst, great seeing you here. MPC Oasis. Course, Amoral Fat 40 ounce. A. Riley in it. Great to see you. So all of you fine people who have been here today, I appreciate you so much. Demonized, it's great to see you here as well. Let me get all the way back down to the bottom. Here, now go watch a video of the Futurama at the 39. Yes, indeed. There's a link right there from Eric Hoffels. Blackjack, thank you so much. Damn it, I'm late. I'll be watching it from the beginning. All right, sounds good. Craig, I wasn't here. Well, it's all right, Craig. We're glad to have you now. And that's the main thing. Let's see. I think I got most everybody else. Hopefully, if I missed you, I'm sorry. Comics, Books, and Coots, take care. How much paint have you spilled on the floor? So much you can't even imagine. It has been diabolical. I've gotten into some paint situations, and someone I was looking for that I can't seem to find, and I'm like, where the heck did that go? I scrolled too fast. That's my problem. It was right. Oh, well, I'll never find it. Oh, my goodness. So many of you guys, thank you so much for being here. I will see you guys soon. As I always like to say, speak easy, stay gold, keep the faith, and peace be with you guys. I will see you soon. Give nihilism no quarter. And here is the channel member credits. Thank you guys for all of your support. God bless you all. Have a wonderful Sunday.